Okay, I'll call the meeting to order. Dwayne, would you like to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance?
Certainly would. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Ready for a roll call vote? Roll call, not vote, roll call.
Okay, Supervisor Bazur.
Here.
I'm here. Treasurer Kowalski.
Here.
Trustee Woods.
Here.
Trustee Wright.
Here.
All present, Mr. Supervisor.
All right, do we have a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Is there support?
Support.
All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, the same. Okay, at this time, we'll open it up to reports. I think I'm going to mix it up a little bit. And Joanne, if you'd like to do yours right now, that way you don't have to stay for all of it.
Hello, is this on? Okay. My name's Joanne Davis, and I represent the Marshall Township on the library board. So I'm here to give you guys an update. I don't know if anybody's been in the library within the past year, but since May of 2025, they opened a brand new history center that was a generous donation from Laura R. Withy Bliss. And this room is for conducting family research, seeking local history information, and starting their own digitization projects. The center contains materials from the Marshall area, as well as surrounding communities in Calhoun County. This room contains county directories, plat maps, cemetery guides, yearbooks, family histories, and more. It also contains technologies such as digital microfilm readers and computers, an overhead book scanner to create high-quality scans of printed materials, and a media conversion station with the ability to make VHS, cassettes, slides, film reels, and photos all digital. So all of this technology is available at no cost, and you can just make an appointment to go use that. And also it provides access to the ancestry.com. It's the library edition. So if you want to bring your own computer or use the library's computer, you can save your ancestry finds, and Chelsea is the one who does that, and she can help you find any information you want. They're very knowledgeable at the library on ancestry. And some other things, they also have mobile wireless hotspots available for checkout for a 2-week period. And if anybody knows what a hotspot is or doesn't, it can be, it creates a wireless network so patrons can connect via their mobile device, laptop, printer, digital camera, or a gaming device. So any library card holder, and you have to be above 18, can check this out. So you could also either call to check it out, because there is a wait time. These are very popular. So just so you know, if you need it for a certain date, you would have to call earlier. Upcoming family programs, there's the Science of Magic on February 26th. And some upcoming adult programs include the Spice Club, which is the library has a different spice each month, and then they provide recipes, and then you can bake them, and then some people bring in their recipes that they've baked. It's very popular. A lot of people attend that. Also, Crafty Thursday and Friday carving and printing on fabric. That's going to be on February 19th and 20th. And they also have, the library has, for people who are homebound, they have a delivery service. So if you know of anybody that is homebound, please tell them that they can call the library and set that up, and somebody will come to their home to deliver the books or magazines or whatever they'd like to take out. And that's all that's going on at the library right now.
All right, thank you.
Any questions?
I know I was given a tour of the new center and things like that when it was coming in. That's a fantastic addition.
That is.
And sincere gratitude to the donor.
Yes.
for supplying that for the library. It's fantastic, and it seems to be getting a lot of use.
Yes, and it has a wealth of information all stored within those walls, so you should come check it out.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. All right. Permits issued, we can read those. Fire chief, do you have?
Year-to-date, 85 calls, so it's been a very busy year starting out for us.
Yeah.
About double what we had normally run, so.
Any particular type of calls, Jay, or just everything across the board?
Basically, accidents.
Yeah.
Roads over
Okay.
there. That's been a majority of them.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Treasurer's report.
So the report's in your packet. Just a couple notes. I did move $300,000 from our general account to Michigan class at 3.78%. So it's I kind of call it a co-op type financial institution. So the money is very liquid. You can get it out within a day, put it in within a day. But their rates are very competitive. I also moved $800,000 in tax account monies there as well. We had a CD come due actually this month, so I'm going to move that to Consumers Credit Union, which just opened. They have some good rates right now, introductory rates. Again, a money market that's, fully liquid, or a 4.3% CD. So that's pretty much it. Investments, tax. Today is the last day for taxes without penalty or interest. So whatever's in the Dropbox, or I guess that's it, Dropbox tomorrow, or potentially in the post mailbox, will be recorded, and then we'll close the books at the end of the month, actually March 3rd, I think it is, because of the weekend. So that would be the last date with interest and penalty, and then we'll turn that over to the county. I am going to try something different to encourage people to pay us rather than the county. I'm going to send out reminders to delinquent taxpayers, especially the ones that have a considerable property tax. So we'll see if that bears any fruit.
So what's the turnaround time on that? Sending out a reminder.
Well, I'm going to do it tomorrow. So it'll be the US mail. But they have until the end of basically until March 3rd. The difference, and the reason it might be worth it, we'll see, is when we turn our delinquent taxes over to the county, they will not pay us for our penalty. They pay the city, but they won't pay townships. So, that penalty, we include a 3% penalty during that time period. So if residents want to try and not have to deal with the county, then we'll recoup that 3%.
And just to be clear, there's still a penalty, but the monies just go to the county instead of, it's not like they're.
Yeah, we get to keep anything we collect, but unfortunately, when we turn our debt over to the county, we get the interest, but we don't get the penalty.
Okay.
For some reason, they penalize townships.
Okay. Sheriff enhanced patrol activity.
was a long, very cold and snowy month. So our numbers are down just a little bit. I don't think I worked a day that wasn't slippery. But we still had 29 stops, 10 citations, and we had one suspended driver. We helped out the county in Marshall Township with a couple of calls. So nothing too exciting, took a couple of alarms. But February looks to be up quite a bit. Now that they've opened up these new sections here, when those are dry, I don't even get it in park when I'm sitting beside the road there, and especially when the place lets out, so. Verona Road I can't hardly buy one over there, so I guess the compliance is up on Verona Road, A Drive North both. The stop sign is a little better there, but most of my stops are within the 6-lane or the 4-lane portions of Michigan Avenue. Any complaints, call into the township office?
No, it does seem like when you pull out on the new M96, it feels like you're either on an expressway or on Telegraph Road in Detroit or Woodward. And I have a feeling that makes people want to go extra fast. It's
Something.
Yeah, it's
And I noticed for some reason also, a couple of times now when I've come back eastbound and you have to stop in the lights red down there, I now stay over in the right-hand side, because if you're on the left-hand side, people will run over you. I mean, they don't even stop as they turn left onto to keep on 96. And the light, the light's there, a double light and clear as a bell.
Yeah, I'll try and keep an eye on that. We haven't had any formal complaints called into the sheriff for January. I did have a couple people that flagged me down talking about stuff, but basically it was the cut throughs. People were running through the cut throughs and not yielding for people, and then also just playing the speed down through there.
Yeah.
So we'll keep an eye on it.
All right, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for letting me follow up on a couple of questions from last meeting. And I will tell you this, I had my dress shoes on earlier and I stepped in a bunch of mud and I told my wife, I'm like, I'm not doing it tonight. So I got my muck boots on today, in a dress clothes. So I apologize. So I wanted to follow up, and Trustee Woods asked a couple of questions about the crashes out on the highway. So I went back and I asked Patrol to do an evaluation and give me a summary of the crashes and why they were happening. So the captain gave me a pretty good summary. Now, what's interesting about the crash data, and I want to point out, he's got some findings. And what he did was he went ahead and went a little bit farther. He basically just took Michigan Avenue all the way from, I think, 12 or 13 all the way across and said, what has been happening on Michigan Avenue? That's the popular spot. And so he identified, as you're going to see 911 calls increased, property damage crashes increased. You can see the hit and runs, and you can see increases in those areas. Now, some of the comments that he made in here, I think, are being corrected with more signage and more lighting and less road congestion based on construction. So I think that's helping too. So I think we probably saw a peak, and now we'll probably come down a little bit and probably level out. Now, so he's got his report here kind of outlining, and to be honest with you, I was a little surprised. There's a lot of things happening on Michigan Avenue. And that kind of correlates with, and I'm gonna make you go in a couple different places at the same time. That correlates with the single page graph. I asked him, does it print me a graph? How many calls have just we handled, not necessarily MSP, our department? And there's a single page graph, and you can see that graph is heading in the upward direction, which makes sense, right? I mean, the traffic, things have changed. It's gonna go up, things are gonna go up, cost of service are gonna go up. And that's just the direction we're going. You're going to see a report that we printed from the Michigan State Police traffic. So what happens when we take a traffic crash, they type it in their computer and they hit send, and it goes to the state
as traffic crash data. And so he ran a traffic crash data report, and on the front page, the first page that says Marshall Township, Michigan Avenue, you'll see in there, you can see what the officer picked as a hazardous reason why these crashes are occurring. And you'll see in there, you'll see speed too fast, unable to stop, careless driving. Those are the things that they were picking throughout this crash data. Now, you'll see this crash data started in 2016. He went back 9 years. And we captured, just Michigan Avenue, 38 crashes. Here's the interesting thing that I thought was the most interesting, and here's why I didn't email this to you, because it needed explanation. If you go to the next page, you see the graph, but then you go to the final page, which basically is blank, and on the top, you're gonna see it says 12 crashes have been excluded.
Yeah.
All right, and so we had to find out why, and this is the understanding, and those 12 crashes are the most recent ones that Trustee Woods was asking about. And the reason why those are excluded, we're being told, is because MSP and the site hasn't updated Old Michigan and Michigan. So the deputy is typing in the crash, Old Michigan, and using that as the closest intersection. It hasn't updated in the site, so they show those as errors until they can update and then manually correct each one of those crashes. So there's 12 crashes that, without pulling each and every one of them, it appears to be a pretty significant rise in crashes in that area. And I know 2 weeks ago, I think we had one there. And it was, I think they arrested the person for drunk driving. So that's a hot spot. There are your numbers. There's your increases. I just didn't want to send you that with 12 excluded, because I was like, wow. I told him, I said, why are those excluded? And when we really dug down into it, is because the road name changed, and they're using those road names in intersections. So when they come up to MSP, they show errors. So that's got to be fixed. But you can see that. Then on the next page, after that, you'll see there's basically, you can get a feel for the calls that are happening in Marshall Township. And that just started, he looks like he grabbed that report like right at the beginning of September of last year, all the way up to, what was it, September until March, it looks like. He ran through those calls. So you can see, and that's all, he focused Michigan Ave related only. And you can see, and the interesting, you see all those 911 hangups? My first question was, why are we getting all those 911 hangups? And he looked into it, and we're not sure if it was phone service problems, but those are, 911 is, somebody's phone is dialing that from either a location or a home. And we had a pretty good stint of those 911 activations, and then they went away and they were corrected. So most of them are check premise, domestics, driving complaints, harassment complaints, traffic hazards. You can see them, but that's nothing to do with anything else outside Marshall Township except Michigan Avenue. And so you can kind of see the impact. And then you can see on the last page, you can see that's probably Brad, where all those traffic stops are. That's probably the impact of the traffic enforcement that never existed. Well, I shouldn't say never existed, but it wasn't primarily focused in an area. But you can see the impact of that too. So I wanted to answer that question for you and try to get a question about the accidents there, and then answer anything else. And I should have, and I know you either are considering or you've talked about an additional full-time enhanced enforcement. And I'd like to offer you one other thought. So Marshall Township is different than all of our other contracts, because I want to say, excluding the city of Springfield, I think Marshall Township will probably experience the most commercial heavy truck traffic in all of our area. And my thought is if there was a full-time deputy here, I would want that deputy, like no other township, to be trained in commercial vehicle enforcement. And then they could take care of all the weights and measures on all your township roads. And we can still enforce commercial vehicle law, but there's a lot more to it. And you have to be certified in the portable scales in order to weigh out those trucks. So I think if you are moving in that direction, that would be, if I were you, that would be a request I would make to you, that the deputy is trained in commercial vehicle enforcement. And that would really enhance the services that you receive, especially especially on your township roads. If you want to target those township roads for overweight trucks, then that can happen, and that can be more specific. So can I answer any other questions for you?
So maybe non-traffic related, is there similar data that would be like break-in and enterings and
Yep, so
domestic disputes?
I did not, yeah, so your high points are this: out of those calls for service that you see, and I did not keep a copy of the graph. Was it 13 something last year? 1,300 calls last year on that graph? Okay. So the high points on those, and we can certainly break those down. Those are abandoned vehicles. Those are a fatal accident. Those are hit and runs. These are just the high points. Those are your private property, felonious assaults, dog bites, burglaries, controlled substance violations, damage to property, death investigation, driving with license suspended. There's quite a few of those. Frauds, larcenies, motor vehicle theft, aggravated assault, obstructing justice, drunk driving, reckless driving, retail frauds, and abandoned vehicles, and weapons offense. So that last number that you're seeing, that's your high topics. That's your high topic of your outside of traffic calls that they're handling.
And then I guess the only other question I had was, I'm assuming since the city has jurisdiction of some of this property now, I'm assuming they should be partially responsible for some of the Michigan Avenue traffic, I'll say control.
Well, so yes, they have their portion of Michigan Avenue over by I-69, but everything outside into the township is ours. But I will tell you this. So the one thing that we did early on, and we weren't certain, and please forgive me with how I'm explaining this because it may not be accurately explained as in the terms that need to be explained. As parcels inside of this complex were being transferred into the city and parcels were not, we had some, myself and the chief had some concerns with jurisdictional issues. We didn't want any police officer ever to be apprehensive and wonder if I'm standing with 1 foot in the county or 1 foot in the city and not take enforcement action on an emergency situation. So all of Marshall Police Department, they are all deputized. They all hold deputy cards. And because the last thing we wanted to happen was something happen somewhere in that facility and it's an emergency. And I'm not saying that they're going to respond. We're all going to respond. But we wanted to make sure that everyone felt confident that they had the jurisdictional ability to handle it. Just because we just weren't sure. I mean, I wasn't even sure. And you can see it was kind of like a board that, had different colors and we just didn't want to be put in that position. So everybody at the city of Marshall is deputized and they can handle those calls. But they certainly don't want to handle calls in another township other than if it's an emergency. So.
We do have, we did adopt years back, and it's still on the books, the motor vehicle code, the commercial motor vehicle enforcement code by township ordinance. And then we contracted at that time with Emmett Township because no one else was doing commercial enforcement, but they were. And that worked out all right because we were looking at Verona Road in particular, and also 15 Mile Road, some of the roads that are primary roads, but we're getting a lot of truck traffic. And there was a couple of firms, as I recall, that were using Verona Road then as a bypass. They would come from M66 on Verona Road over to Marshall. So we contracted with them, so we retained, their payment was that they would receive our part of the fines and costs. So we still have that, they've long since abandoned the contract for enforcement, but we still have adopted the commercial part as a township ordinance too.
And you can keep all your fines and costs associated with this. This is your deputy. If you can, all I'm interested in is protecting the residents, making sure people are safe. You can keep all that. That is nothing that we're interested in. So if there's fees that are associated with fines that you can offset your costs with, that's up to you.
Okay.
Not interested. Yep.
Well, I think in future, any future discussions that you have that are had with regard to, increasing to full-time, I think that should be taken into account.
Absolutely.
Because right now, that's not the case.
Yep.
They're written, I assume Brad writes on the, writes on the state.
So, yep, and you know this, I mean, you're gonna correct me when I'm wrong, okay? All right, so right now, so gently. So Brad is writing under state law, and he's not writing under your local ordinance.
Right.
If he writes under your local ordinance and someone contests that in court, your attorney, your township attorney would have to deal with that. So a lot of the places that we contract with, so for instance, Penfield wants everything written on local ordinance. They capture some of the fines and costs from that to offset their costs, but their attorney deals with anything. Places like the Village of Homer, they do not want many things written under local ordinance. They want everything under state law because they don't
Pay, right.
Yeah, they see the cost of the attorney fees. So you really have to, so in Brad's position now, with it just being a part-time position, it was probably a good choice, just
right.
write it under state law, let the prosecutor deal with it. But if you move into a full-time position and you want to try to offset some of those costs, it may be better to allow to do that. So drunk driving would be under your local ordinance. All traffic stuff, everything, commercial truck stuff, weights, everything would be under your ordinance. And a bulk more than state law would come back to your township for those fines and fees, and you would have a better understanding of that. Yep.
Do we have considerable ordinances besides the one you mentioned?
No, they're basically civil infractions. They're not the type, it's like the consumer's franchise is an ordinance. So there's mostly zoning related.
Okay.
Appreciate the information and
Yep.
the deep dive to get it.
Yeah.
Thank you, people.
Yeah, absolutely, and you're more than welcome. Brad doesn't know this, but you could ride with him if you want to. If you want to jump in with Brad and go on a ride along around the township and have him talk to you about the township and kind of see it from a different perspective, you're more than welcome to anytime, so.
My wife and I were coming back from Battle Creek a little after 5:30, and she thought we saw somebody parked over here along the side of M96, and I said, I know him, so if he stops me. So I might have gotten an earlier ride than what you had promised, so I appreciate it.
All right. If you guys don't mind, unless anybody has any questions, I was hoping to go home tonight, so. Okay.
Thanks so
All
much.
right, thank you.
Okay. Planning Commission.
Oh, gosh, let's see. At our last meeting, we had the Millbrook developers give us a presentation. It's pretty much the same one that they did at the JPC. good questions back and forth. So that project is progressing. We had a recent open house on the master plan review. Turnout was, what, 6 or 7 people at the most, I think. We were hoping for a few more than that, but it was good give and take for the folks that were there. Our next scheduled master plan review get together is 11 March at 6 o'clock. You know, the work meeting, pretty much. Let's see. Cooper Township over by Kalamazoo is putting on a best presentation. The planning commission members have been offered to either show up or Zoom in. So that's on the 25th of February. So we still got 3 going as far as you know, or?
I know I'm going, I think Steve Briggs is going. I'm not sure about Commissioner Summers.
Right.
Possibly Commissioner Marquez.
Okay. So we're at the same count we were like 2 weeks ago. Okay, got it.
I know you said you were gonna, if someone else, then you would, but
Yeah.
you're still welcome to go.
Yeah. Okay, appreciate it. Let's see. Tomorrow, there's a Zoom meeting for Control Center, Data Control Center. I think it's being put on by the Michigan State University Extension. So a group of us is going to meet here and be up there on the big screen. And so we'll see what the latest is that Michigan State has as far as data centers and things like that. To date, we have 59 signups for the mass notification system. So it's increased a little bit. And our zoning map is on schedule to be presented at our March meeting. So we think we've tied up.
March 11th?
No, our regular
Oh, okay.
PC meeting in March. So I would not be surprised if it didn't get pushed back to the next March meeting, but for our March meeting, I think we've pretty much got all of the I's dotted and the T's crossed on that. And JPC, we approved a requested signage adoption put forth by the folks from Family Fair. It had gone through their planning commission to their ZBA and then was presented to the joint planning commission, and it was approved at our last meeting. So, and that's all I have.
Okay. Well, you're still up, road department.
Road department, nothing new to report upon that,
Okay, thank you.
unless somebody else has heard something. So.
MDOT has a
Oh, yeah.
open house tomorrow, I believe, at Firekeepers. Go in the hotel entrance. That is if you want the same amount of money in your wallet on the way out as you do on the way in. Go through the hotel and it's down, it's one of the ballroom is divided up for it. It'll be their open house. I believe it's 3 to 6 p.m.
Yeah, I remember the time. I had to recheck the date. So, you know, that should be an entertaining, informational.
And that'll be for primarily for the west end of the
11 Mile Road Bridge.
modernization project.
So,
Bridge.
And we probably should hear from the county on funding of our proposed roads by the end of the month. Is that what I remember?
Yeah, I think this is going to be their second meeting in February. Matt had told us.
Yeah.
Okay, P 425 subcommittee.
I guess there's an email that was sent to the board from Rob Thal, so we got that in our inbox, and I guess the big thing is to kind of look through it. We met, what was it, 2 Saturdays ago, Glenn, with the city, and it was, I was just.
And on Wednesday, right?
And on Wednesday, oh yeah, I was Saturday and Wednesday. And it was more productive than I thought it was going to be, in the sense that I think while there are some overall disagreements of what we'd want to be changed, I think there was a lot of commonality in some of the things that we agree could be better. And I think that was a welcome sign that both parties were equally interested in looking at it to improve it, to make it work for its intended purposes. So I thought that was a general positive feel, but the more specific things are in that email from the lawyer. Take a look at it, and yeah. Anything to add, Glenn?
No, no, I think they were productive meetings, and yeah, I think right now we're waiting, I think, for Attorney Revore to come back from vacation, and then we'll pick it back up again with some action items, so.
Yeah.
And one point on that, I had gotten before our last JPC meeting last week, I had gotten a note from Seth, our attorney, that the Michigan Court of Appeals has yet to schedule oral arguments on the committee for Marshall, not the mega site, that lawsuit. So everybody is just in hold status on that right now.
Yeah. And there may not be any oral arguments either.
There's nothing scheduled at this time for anything coming out of the Court of Appeals on that lawsuit. So.
Okay. Budget report?
Probably the one more recent development is that the budget amendment that'll be presented next month for the end of the year will include some more funds for the fire department in the salaries due to the fact that January and February, as was alluded to earlier in Jay's report, we're not like our typical January and February, and the payroll was higher than normally expected. And also, we had a 3-year insurance premium for one of the policies, which covers 26, 27, and 28, which shows as an expense for 1 year. The auditors, when they audit, may somehow do their magic and make 2 years disappear until next year, but that won't be known until August or September, so we'll have to cover that at this time. But the good news is that all of the adjustments will be more than covered by this contingency that we've set aside for those types of problems.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to communications. WOW, notice of change of ownership. It's received and placed on file. Eagle, notice of land use restrictions. Referred to the zoning administrator.
So I looked into that a little bit, if I could say something about it anyways, because it was a little bit of, I don't want to say a shock, but it was inspecting it, and there wasn't anything necessarily that went along with that 2-page report. So I dug into it a little bit, and it was, apparently there were 2 releases, petroleum releases in 2005 and 2008. And there's a giant amount of documentation from Eagle and the contractor that Pioneer Truck Stop, the Shell station, hired to do, their analysis and the remediation plan. But essentially all that document was to say that the state is now deemed that site, it's no longer a Part 213 site, active site. But there are deed restrictions, which I think it referred to, that basically the contaminated area is called out now on the deed as restricted use, no wells and that type of thing. Personally, I still would like to understand a little bit better why Eagle thinks that, there's no migration of petroleum fluids into, surrounding properties and things, but that's what I found out so far.
Dave, do you and Jeff remember that incidents out that way at all, back then?
I remember when they pulled the tanks out of the ground, but, wasn't really paying a lot of attention other than, they were pulling the tanks out of the ground.
Yeah.
Okay. MPSC notice of violation hearing, Comcast. And for resignation of Jeff Alba as Township Clerk effective 2/28/26. Receive that, okay. Move on to referrals, January 13th, 2026, JPC permit action attached as a separate file. And 2, PC master plan survey results. And you can get those on our website, and master plan survey results. Okay, at this time, we're going to open up a public hearing regarding the 2026-27 proposed budget. Proposed. And it's attached.
The attached was the proposed budget as proposed by the supervisor, with some adjustments made at our February 9th board workshop. Just to highlight quickly some of the changes for the public for over the current year budget, and fellow board members chime in whenever. At any rate, we did note that in the revenue column, the Public Act 425 payment from the city is purely a guesstimate at this time. We have not received the projection and probably won't until sometime, perhaps in March, from the city of what those will be, due to the fact it's based on taxable values, which are just now being settled for the 2026 tax year. We believe this is probably a conservative estimate, and as noted by Treasurer Kowalski, we're still owed some money from 2024 that's going through a laborious process due to the fact they had to be a correction, had to go through a couple of border reviews and on to the county, and then to the taxpayer, and then back to the city, and then to the city to us. So hopefully sometime this century, you'll get that payment. On state revenue sharing, it shows a slight decline. The reason for that is that in the grand road plan that was passed late last year, the sales tax on gas and fuels was rescinded. So there's no longer a sales tax on it. It was replaced with a motor vehicle fuel tax. The sales tax, we get a percentage of. The fuel tax, we don't. So there was a slight decline that's projected statewide for that when it's all spread throughout. And also it means that in future years that'll also affect. The original supervisor's proposed budget estimated the Canvas fire contract at $36,000, we've been averaging around 40,000, so we made that correction. And it shows final projected revenues of $1,663,333. On the expenditure side, the first significant increase, I guess would be, well, first of all, the township board is down approximately $20,000, and that's due to the timing of attorney fee payments with regard to basically the increase had been originally due to an estimate of the litigation involving the mega site. So that decrease there is entirely due to that, to a decrease in the attorney fees expected for next year. If that litigation for some reason becomes more than anybody's anticipating, then that might have to be revisited during the course of the budget year. With regard to elections, the big increase there is due to the fact that in the current fiscal year, we didn't have any elections, and we will have two elections, it looks like, at this particular point. There won't be a May election, but there will be an August and a November election. The only other thing that might affect that is there could be a February election, a special election next year. Any authority that can call an election could trigger that, although we've never had one except for the presidential primary. The fire department looked like a big increase, but when you take into account that there will be a supplemental appropriation yet to this year's $292,143 for salaries, as I mentioned, then that narrows that quite considerably. The other part of the increase is, to a lesser extent, is increased operating expenses at Station 1. A big increase in the overall budget, the biggest increase is $965,000 to pay for the fire truck that will be delivered hopefully June, July this year, and they'll expect a check for it, I'm sure. And that hopefully will cover the cost under the agreement that we had signed back in 2024 for that fire truck. That $965,000 is entirely offset by use of millage funds, the fire millage funds, which were levied for that purpose. The fire millage reserve looks like it's being decreased. Actually, what's happening is $120,000 of the $383,000 of revenue that's taken in from the fire millage for the last levy of the current renewal in December of this year will go towards offsetting part of the $353,662 of fire department operational expenses as permitted by the ballot proposal, which was approved by voters.
Jeff, can I ask a question?
Sure.
So where does that 120 go?
That 120 then is 120,000 less of general funds.
Right.
That go into the fire department, so increases contingency.
Okay, but, because I know this is kind of new, but how do we use those monies then on a budgeted way? Is it just?
No, there's the general budget, and then the 120,000 of that general budget will come from the millage. It's just where it comes from.
Okay, so just, it's basically.
Yeah, it's not a separate budget.
Okay.
Next big increase is streets. It's listed as streets, drains. $5,000 of that is for the township at large assessment from the Water Resource Commissioner's Office for a couple of drain district maintenance projects. The township share of that. The remaining is for the road projects that we had approved late last year and are awaiting county approval, which Glenn referred to earlier, that as I understand it, is scheduled for the sometime yet this month by the county. That money, at the time we discussed, would come from the unassigned fund balance. We had about $1.4 million in unassigned fund balance. That means we didn't have it set aside for any particular purpose. And so about half of that's being used for this, for these road projects. Planning zoning, the increase there has entirely to do with the guesstimate in there for the on-premise zoning administrator. That will be finally determined when someone or somebody is contracted with or is hired to do that. I believe the advertisement for that said that the salary was negotiable. So there was an amount of money set aside in the planning department for that particular item. Capital outlays increased by approximately $30,000. Those exact projects will be yet determined by the board, but some of the projects that were discussed were the telephone, replacing the telephone system, some needed work on the HVAC non-system on the office side of this building. There are two systems, one for this part and one for the rest of the building, and the one for the rest of the building is old and in need of major attention. There also another capital project that we talked about will be the I don't know what exactly you want to call it, but the reworking of the drive and approaches at the Station 2. And that will be millage financed when that's done, and that'll be done this summer. The original supervisor's recommendation contemplated contracting with the sheriff for a full-time deputy assigned to the township, which the sheriff proposed at the last regular board meeting. Funds were contained in the supervisor's recommendation to fund that effective July 1st of this year. The board discussed that at the workshop, and the consensus was that those funds would be, those increased funds would be removed. We'd continue with the part-time if the sheriff's amenable to that, that we would like to continue with the part-time, and that we'd like to use the this budget year to gather further information on that as to need and measurements for doing that. And that those funds were removed from there and were also placed in the contingency, which explains the large increase in the contingency between that and using $120,000 of the millage for fire department general operations. I think that kind of more than probably explains planning for public information. If there are any questions or concerns, the contemplation is that the budget would be voted on at the March regular board meeting.
Okay,
So if there's any public comments.
Is there any comments? Yes.
I don't have something to say. Just a curious question, because I don't know. I'm just ignorant, looking over this, and Jeff briefly touched on it, the Convis Fire Department contract.
Yes.
What is that? Is that money that comes in from responses?
It,
Or is that a contract with?
there's an actual contract
With?
with Convis Township that continues year to year unless we,
Right.
one side or the other says, whoa. And what it does is there's two levels of financing in it. Based upon state equalized valuation for the bottom two tiers of sections in Convis Township, which is the coverage area. We don't have a contract. We cover the bottom two tiers as the primary under that. And what they pay for is based on the ratio of their SEV and our SEV.
I see.
That determines a percentage, which is normally about 35% for Convis, and we apply that to all the non-response salary costs.
Okay, yeah,
So we apply it to the officer, the fire chief's salary,
right.
assistant chiefs, all those, and all the operational expenses, and an amortization of equipment, fire truck, of fire apparatus,
Right.
fire trucks, and the Station 2 cost. Those are all amortized. That's put into the, as an expense for the purposes of that agreement. We apply 35%, they pay that. Then also, they pay for the salaries and workers' comp and FICA on all incident responses that occur in Convis Township.
So basically, you get the contracted figure from their SEV.
Yes,
Okay,
and incident,
right, and they pay for the incident.
and they
when we
pay for
make a
their
call,
incident
right.
responses.
Okay, thank
Yep.
you.
Mhm.
Is there any other public comments? Thank you. Thanks for coming. So, nothing more on the, on the public hearing. I guess the only thing I got about the deputy is that I talked to Steve and he's not guaranteeing that he's gonna be able to have a part-timer, so that's the risk we're gonna take. Because a lot of his part-timers are looking for some full-time help or full-time positions, and if they get one, then it's not gonna, we won't have a part-time deputy.
Does that mean Brad is not gonna be available?
I don't know if it's Brad or what. All he said is he can't guarantee us a part-time deputy all year, so. But I mean, that's just something, we wanted to look at everything, so, but I just thought I ought to say that, so.
And I mean, he presented more information tonight. I'm just curious, does that change people's perceptions of things? I'm just curious, based off of what new information we've received, how does that, yeah.
I still favor waiting and scoping out the coming year. There's definitely a trend, and that's to be expected.
Right.
And, hopefully we can continue with the enhanced, but we won't know until July, August timeframe, something like that, I would imagine, when this current contract runs out. So as the great information tonight that they gave us, and the trends are there, and they're going up. So, but I think we would be wise just to continue to monitor it. And we have some major expenses this year, and then we have the income to cover them. But I think the more data we gather over the next year, we'd be able to make a better decision this time next year. So.
Right, he had told me that, and I thought I'd just bring it up so everybody knew that.
There, just an observation for you
Yeah.
all to consider later on is that there might be, perhaps with the part-time basis we have now is that $20,000. There, there might be a possibility of discussing with them at some point after perhaps you know a little bit more about the PA 425 revenue that's coming in, which March, April, hopefully. You'll know what that's going to be. You'll have another quarter, at least, of state revenue sharing to see if the state's projections are, are accurate. So there's a couple of moving parts there that you might be able to, it could be that maybe there are other units that would consider halftime where that would be an increase and you could still see what type of statistics are developed out there with that regard, and you would still have the funds that would be available in the contingency fund for that with knowing a little bit more about the revenue.
Yeah.
Just some food for thought for
Yep.
later on.
That's good. All right, if there's no more on the public hearing, we'll close the public hearing. And at this time, we'll open it up for public comment on listed agenda items. Seeing no public comment, we'll move on. Discussion update items. Clerk resignation, Kowalski.
So I don't know if it would make sense, but it looks like there's two items, 1 and 6.
We probably could combine them.
Could we, I don't know if it's too late to modify the agenda, but maybe it'd be good to talk to them at the same time, I guess, because in my mind, they're
linked.
They're linked, right? I mean, so we have the letter of resignation. I think there was a good article. I think we all saw that in February, MTA, I don't know what it's called, the Focus magazine or whatever. And, I think as much as I know that Jeff wants to move on and retire for sure after 30-some years of being part of the township. I think the reality is if we were to accept that resignation at the end of the month, if we don't have a clerk, we not only don't have a clerk, we don't have a deputy clerk. So we have no clerk and we have no way to carry out those statutory duties. So I would throw out the idea that possibly we not accept the resignation for the purpose of trying to find a clerk. And I think that personally, I think it needs to include putting an advertisement in the paper. I mean, I think we all have been asking people and that's helpful. But we probably should advertise it somehow. And that takes time. So I guess that's my 2 cents worth.
Yeah, I think the issue is it's like accepting it automatically, like Christina's job would end at the same time because of how those statutes are written, which means that none of the checks can be signed. It literally shuts down all payroll, which that's scary, and money coming in, like it literally creates a government shutdown. It's one of those things like, and I don't want to say how it works, but I mean, if Jeff's like, I'm absolutely not working after the 28th, I mean, at least Christina could still work and checks could be signed, whether Jeff is actually in the office or not, or doing those responsibilities. It would just give us a little bit more time to find someone to, I kind of in reading that, just, I think, we all took a note to make sure that things keep moving in the government, and that's just, I think putting an advert in
Well, it takes the board,
a motion to do that.
right,
Yeah.
takes the board. And then the other thing, I'm just gonna bring this, I think Christine is, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, you're willing to do an interim clerk so the bills are paid and payroll's done until we could find a clerk. That way, all those things could happen.
So she would, I just want to make sure I understand. Would
Yeah.
that be like she would she would become the clerk, or?
I would just act and as of what I know from Jeff until you found me. I think is my understanding.
Right.
I don't want to take on.
Right, so I mean, in simple terms, if we don't accept the resignation,
She could do
that's
that.
kind of the condition we could be in, depending on how much Jeff wants to work or he doesn't want to work.
Well, if we accept it and then put her in as interim clerk.
Yeah, I don't think, that can only be done, the fine print on that is it can only be done in the event of disability.
Or death,
Okay.
yeah.
And I don't intend to become
Don't be
disabled.
disabled. Don't slip on the way out.
And I wouldn't want the firemen disabling me just so they could get their paychecks.
So maybe we could just talk a little bit about the search while we're on the topic. I did create a little ad, I think I sent it to Dave. We have a job description such as it is that I think actually Joanna authored. Maybe, it was when we were talking about job descriptions for all of us, and I think she pulled it off of the MTA page, and so I also sent that to Dave. We could, and we can do whatever we want with that ad. It was pretty minimal. But do we want to put something in the paper? I mean, one way or another, I guess. How are we gonna find the next clerk?
So what's the next step in our process? We know kind of have an idea what the ramifications are if we do accept the resignation. And what are the ramifications if we don't accept it? What are the actions? And what is it that we need to
Well, if we don't
search
accept
for
it,
new one?
I mean, I think we eventually have to. So what will happen is Jeff will still get his paycheck. Even if he's not physically doing the work, that doesn't change. I mean, of his statutory clerk position in that sense. Christina could then, as a deputy, we'd have increased costs probably because of her hourly would probably be exceeding the number of hours that she would normally receive for a deputy clerk, simply because of number of hours that she would have to do would increase. So she would go at that pay rate. So we just know that, and that's intentional in the sense of they don't want, government doesn't want you to just be like, well, we'll just let this person, forever, and we just prop up someone behind the scenes. It's meant to motivate you to get the next person in that position. And so to me, I think that makes a lot of sense until at least we get the advert, we get some options out there. I will, I threw it out there once before, I'll throw it again. If there's a better person, I'd love for them to do the clerk and everything, but I am willing, if we can't find someone, I'm willing to go from a trustee to a clerk. And so why I'm saying this now is if we want to include, just out of interest of who's even interested in being a trustee, to see if there's even, to make our advert go further. Again, I am completely happy with someone else doing the clerk job, but I also don't want to see the government shut down. So to me, I think Christina, I mean, it sounds like she's willing to step in and do things until we at least get some responses and see who's interested. But if we want to, in the advert, see both as a clerk and a trustee, just what the interest level is. I think that.
Yeah, I
make
think
it
it's a
go
good
further.
idea to do the ad, but we have to, it has to be a board.
Board, just, yeah. So,
And what's the process? I think we talked about it online just a little bit, offline a little bit. If we do accept the resignation, their positions end on the end of the month. The county takes over at that point, or possibility thereof, or
In
the
so
count-
many days, they have to hold an election.
special election, so it's not, they don't take over, the county literally puts a special election together to have someone at the expense of the township. So the township will pay for all of whatever the county has to do to prepare to put an election to find someone to run it. It's not, they're not propping someone up in that position.
So we have 45 days to fill the board vacancy after the resignation is accepted. If the board does not meet the deadline, then the county clerk is required by law within 5 calendar days of that missed deadline to schedule a special election to fill that board position, likely at township's cost.
So
So you have 45 days to fill the position, or the county has to take action.
there's some other interesting deadlines in there too. April 13th, if we select someone to be the clerk before April 13th, I think it is, they would then be on the November ballot that people would have to vote in on that. If it's after that, I don't think that they do, just based off of.
I don't know what the date is, but there's a date there.
April
where it's
13th.
Less than 2 years into the.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah, so I mean, those are all questions of, do we want to, it doesn't matter to me, but I just am naming that those are stipulations within that they would have to be voted on.
To me, that part's not that important, because at the end of the day, we're trying to fill the position.
Yeah.
And if we can do it before April 13th, that'd be great, to be honest with you. But, so, again, as much as I would like to accept, it seems to me that, we've got a lot of work to do, and if we could run the risk, you could accept the resignation and say, we're gonna find one, and within 45 days, come hell or high water.
Yeah.
I suppose that's a gamble, but.
I had another question though, in regards to this too, is I understand the check aspect of it, but I just also wondered what other aspects, Jeff, of your job would be kind of like, only a clerk can kind of do this? Like for example, the deadlines for getting things on the ballot, does that have to go through the clerk's office, or is that just the board, or?
The board really doesn't have anything to do except paying for elections.
Okay.
The clerk's duties are numerable under the election statute, and only the clerk or the deputy clerk can perform those.
Yeah.
I think there's some contingency in there for in the absence of that the county can do that, but don't hold me to that. The election laws are, are manual in themselves, and many of them are old laws, and there's just a lot to it. So basically it's paying the bills and paying the payroll requires the clerk or the deputy clerk to issue the warrant. Technically is what you're doing when we co-sign the check. That's serving as a warrant also, which says these are legitimate expenses from the public funds, and then the treasurer gets it to say, well, we don't have those funds. or they do have those funds, so go ahead and pay it.
And if neither one of those signatories are available, what then?
Nothing.
Everything's just.
It's government shutdown.
Yeah, it does that. My wife isn't listening.
Well,
I would never allow that to happen.
yeah,
I mean, through my own actions.
yeah, but I would say,
I'm pretty firm about that February date, and I can tell you, I'm not going to be available for a while after April 1st.
Yeah.
And when we thought there was a possibility that you could designate an interim clerk, and that great idea got burst looking at the fact that that statute had some fine words for disability, that, you know, I had told Christina that I would be available after February 28th to help to the extent she would require help. So I suppose you could make, you know, well, you'll do what you do. But I physically won't be present, even be able to be present after April 1st.
and that's fine. And I don't wanna, I don't want this discussion to be thinking about like, well, no, we're making you come, you know, like, we understand. It's more from the government shutdown or not, and allowing someone like Christina to be able to keep it moving while, you know, while we're searching is, I guess, I think the bigger question.
Well, I would implore upon you to, you know, one of my former bosses, Judge Creighton Goldman, used to have a sign said, "God grant me patience, but hurry."
Yeah, I hear you.
You know, the deal is that you need to, I mean, we've already, like, it's been a month, so,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
You need to move right along.
So David, did you imply that we needed a board action to put the ad in the paper? Is that why you didn't do it?
Right.
Let's,
So, I mean, we didn't really have a month, unfortunately, except to talk to everybody that we could talk to. I guess to tell them that verbally we had a resignation. So now we've got half a month.
And you can, the other thing that you need, that's somewhere in there too, is that you have 45 days after the resignation effective date to name them, but you can appoint someone up to 30 days ahead of the resignation date. So like if you did, for example, as I understood it, that if you were to accept the resignation effective February 28th, you could have appointed anybody since January, whatever, end of whatever 30 days ahead of February 28th is, 29th or whatever.
29, something like that.
So we could,
You could appoint someone anytime in that 30-day period, but you have to appoint somebody by the 45th day after the resignation.
right, true. That's very true.
and we could appoint Wayne tonight.
It is an option. And like I said, if I'm happy on waiting, if people would rather see who can come in, like I said, I don't want to, you know, but we can also, like, if we haven't found someone, but if we want to have a special meeting or something and we haven't gotten some interest in it, we could do that closer to that date. I just don't want to.
I guess I feel pretty strongly, you know, personally anyways, that we need to get the word out to people, because there could be somebody out there that, you know, reads the advisor and says, you know, I'm going to look into that. I'm going to ask some questions. How many hours a week do you think it is? And what do I have to do? And
So are you moving that we put an ad in the advisor?
I can make a motion to put an ad for the clerk in the advisor as soon as possible.
Sure. And I will second it with the addition of or trustee, if that's okay.
Yeah, we'll have to come up with some clever wording, I suppose, but.
So get me the wording by, ideally by Friday.
Right.
But Monday's kind of you hit.
It has to
and
be
miss
in by Monday.
Yeah, it has to be in on Monday. I've submitted stuff Monday morning and it's gotten in.
Right, right, because they'll do a little
Yeah.
redoing of the layout to fit their type of gas.
What are your thoughts?
I'd rather not put the trustee on there until we get an idea of the response for the clerk.
Okay,
And then
Right.
ask that
you're the
first.
fail-safe.
I'm the fail-safe.
You're option B.
I'm
Option A, option B we can come
You
to.
could be option A. I mean, I'm not suggesting you're not the best candidate. I'm just saying if, there could be a superwoman out there that,
Yeah.
just, their kids just, left their house and she's.
Somebody who's only had 26 years of government service that wants to do another 4.
So how long
Some
after the,
unsuspecting person.
I think this is a good question that Dave's asking.
how long after the 28th do we have before we need to do payroll? And, I mean, is it the 1st of April or is it?
No, the next payroll that you have to do is for the month of February, and it has to be done by March 6th, I think, or 7th, 6th.
Okay. Well, I just want to know where we are.
Well, if you don't accept it tonight, Christina is gonna do it, and I'll be looking over her shoulder.
Maybe that's the best solution is like,
Well,
accept it, we'll accept it at the next one. You know what I mean? Just so that.
Well, what options do we have? I mean, that's the only thing I'm getting at is, my concern is we don't have any options. At the end of the day, if everything stops February 28th, then we're gonna be in this panic mode and, I guess it puts more pressure on just making a decision that I think is important. I mean, it's a really important position and.
I'd appreciate any assistance Jeff can give us as he sneaks out the back door of his house.
well, to be truthful, I feel much better about the whole situation if, instead of not accepting it, if you accepted it, and if you want to put a different date like March 31st, that's, so be it. At least there's a date, and
And that gives us more time.
of this 2026.
Where did you hear that?
Would you be amenable to that? I know you put it forth.
Under that discussion, under that caveat that Christina's gonna do the stuff and I'll help her to the extent she needs help, then I will be available to do that.
So, I mean, it's the same, in my mind, it's the same as just saying we're not accepting it, and then we come back in March, and if we have candidates, then we can accept it at that point, and then.
Well, I think
Done.
we change the date and accept the resignation because I think that's the right thing to do. And then that gives us a line in the
Do you care to
sand.
expand on that a little bit?
I said that gives us a line in the sand that we have to get our stuff done. I mean, if we moved it to March 31st, that gives us 5 weeks. And we've got somebody that is interested. We could see what else comes up. But yeah, we may not. And then the other side of it is they're going to be up for election if we do it before the 13th at the next election this fall. So we've always got options there too. So if somebody else,
That doesn't really change anything, I don't think.
it doesn't change
April
anything,
13th
but
doesn't
if
really-
somebody else wanted to
Well,
run for
if
it.
we were like, let's say we get somebody and we're like, oh my goodness, this person's a disaster. I mean, if we can find someone else to run against that person. I'm just saying. There's a truth to this.
But, no, it does make sense. It
yeah.
just doesn't sound good.
It doesn't
Right.
sound good.
Boy, that
No.
rabbit hole's getting more trails.
Oh, goodness. I'm so sorry.
So
Thanks, Wayne.
you do have a motion that, as I understand it, from Treasurer Kowalski, to put an ad in the in the next advisor for clerk.
Yes.
Just clerk, yeah.
Yeah. We need a roll call vote.
I will second that still, so.
Yeah, sure.
Can I ask one clarifying question? Is it just for this advert? Is it just going in 1 week or are we having it more than 1 week running? Since we are, it's just a
We
question.
lengthened the time out.
Yeah, since we've,
I think maybe more than once would be good, because sometimes,
someone
It's
misses
two
it.
additions.
2 additions.
to be honest with you, not all of Marshall Township even gets the advisor.
I do not get that.
And I don't know.
Put it in the
if
shopper too,
If you put it in the shopper, you'll get everyone.
do both.
So your motion is to put an ad in the next 2 editions of the advisor and shopper.
Shopper.
Clerk. Okay, do I have that motion right? Supervisor Bozzard,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Treasurer Kowalski,
Yes.
Trustee Woods,
Yes,
Trustee Wright,
Yes.
5 yes.
If I could maybe make a motion that we also put an ad and job description, if we feel comfortable with it, on our website. Because then I know we don't have a lot of people signed up to our mass media, but it'll go out on that. And then if we put maybe Rick can help us find a way to highlight it on our homepage or something that some people go to. I don't know how many people, but.
So we have a motion to add the ad to our website
And job description.
and job description. Is there a second?
second,
Wayne, or not, or
Make.
Nick.
Okay. I'll vote yes. Treasurer Kowalski?
Yes.
Trustee Woods?
yes,
Trustee Wright?
Yes.
Trustee, or Supervisor Bossard?
Yes. I'll
That
go to
was
trustee.
20 years ago, wasn't it?
Okay. Move on to the,
Can I clarify something
Yes.
before we move on here? Back up under communications, it was receive and approve that resignation, so that's just receive, right?
Received. Do you want to make a motion?
well, we can make a motion to change
The date?
the day.
Or we can make any motion we want.
It's true. We can make any motion we want.
I will make a motion on Township Clerk's resignation letter to change his termination date to March 31st of 2026.
I'll second it.
All right. There's been a motion to change the resignation date on the clerk to 3/21 or 3/31/26. Guess we'll have a roll call vote.
Treasurer Kowalski,
Yes.
Trustee Woods,
Yes,
Trustee Wright,
Yes.
Supervisor Bossard.
Yes.
I'll vote yes.
Hope we don't get in trouble with your wife.
Okay. We go on to the escrow account usage. Glenn?
Yeah, so it was a simple answer. I think the answer was that the only thing we can use the escrow account for is for the application and site planning process. Once the site plan is approved, it becomes enforcement, and we cannot use the escrow money, and so it really needs to be returned to whoever put the escrow account up. I think the further dialogue was that it doesn't mean you can't try to recoup your violation cost. It's just you're probably going to do it in a court of law, I suppose. So that was it.
Okay, number 3, resolution direction on JPC authority.
Yeah, so again, another simple one. Rob just said, just leave it alone. I guess just to clarify that a bit, that resolution that the board passed in whenever it was, 2000, I can't remember now, 7, I think. Basically was used in I think it was actually the city of Marshall's brief, and he, meaning Rob Thal, thought he did a good job of arguing against its merits. In other words, he kind of used it against them in his brief, which, we're not part of the litigation in any way, shape, or form. We filed a amicus brief, so we're not engaged in. So essentially that there was he didn't recommend any action.
Okay, fire millage.
Fire millage, the fire board approved at their last meeting, a renewal, of the current fire millage to be on the August, August election. And so we need to, as a board, vote on that. So I am and I know that I will need to contact the law firm. It'll be August 4th. Thank you. August 4th of 2026 election. I will need to contact the law firm to get the language of what that will be, and we have to turn that in before, on or before May 12th. I wanted to ask quickly, Clerk Alba, in the past, was Seth or someone else, who would be the person from the law firm that we've done that in the past with?
Well, that's 10 years ago.
Okay. So maybe it's not the same people.
So it would be just the township attorney's office to, you'd need a motion to authorize the township attorney to develop a proposal for renewal of the fire millage for the August primary.
Okay.
And who sends that to the county then?
Okay.
Well, then the board would actually approve that at the March meeting, at your March meeting, and then the clerk will send it to the.
So that's why I was asking about the clerk's role in this, because I was like, we need to have a clerk before that.
So we want to get it done before March 31st.
Well, I mean, technically I can still sign things. So.
Up until March 31st.
Yeah, up until March 31st. After that, your new clerk that you'll have hired or appointed, not hired.
Right.
So I will make a motion to authorize the township attorney, and I will take on that because I know Glenn's always like, who? And I will contact the township attorneys to authorize the township attorneys to draft the language for the fire millage renewal.
All right.
Can't we just use the one we had 10 years ago? And then just update it?
That's what they'll do.
Yeah.
It's on file somewhere.
And I'll second that.
Thank you.
So You got that?
Yep, I got that. At the August primary, right?
Yep,
Yep.
August primary.
Yeah. Guess it is primaries.
I guess.
And it is, if I remember correctly, it would be for 1.5 mils.
Yes,
Yep.
for 1.5 mils.
Yep.
Thank you.
So that we can say it's a renewal.
Yep.
Trustee Woods,
Yes.
trustee Wright,
Yes.
supervisor Bossert.
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Treasurer Kowalski,
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay. Number 5, elected officers comparable pay and inflation discussion.
Yeah. So last, at our budget meeting, we talked about what is the comparable pay of these different positions? And then also, we had talked about in the budget, this year, making sure that, we do an inflationary, we do add inflation for each of the different roles.
Cost of living.
Cost of living, thank you. So I looked it up, I did MTA just as you guys had suggested, and I put in the minimum, maximum of 3,000 and 4,000, and looked at what those came out to be. And I will say that the numbers pretty much match up outside of the treasurer, which the treasurer's raise would then match up closer to what he had suggested. So what Glenn had suggested for the treasurer matches with what he had suggested with comparable, but every other position almost matches up. So I don't think we need to really change a whole lot of those numbers. The per meeting stipend, it says the average with our township size is about $50 per thing. I also looked at just the local area of just like, what are townships in like Calhoun area, and those were much higher. That was like 95, so it's a range. I think some of the townships that have lower on their actual positions do a higher per meeting stipend.
Right.
So it's a little bit hard to do comparisons, but I thought I'd let you know I looked into it. I used the MTA. I think the cost of living increases make sense, but I don't, outside of Glenn's suggestion, I think the other ones make sense, at least from what I see. The question is if you wanted to, because I know you had said you had talked to other people and they're like, well, we're getting this much for,
No, it was it just came out at the conference.
Yeah. So that's something, if this board wants to do something with that, that's just information, but I just wanted to present that here tonight.
Okay. And number 6, I think we covered that.
Correct. Yep.
Okay, need a motion to approve the following agenda items. If there's any you'd like to take out, vote separately. Do we have to vote on the salaries separately, each one?
Yes,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And just making sure, the salary one, this number 6 is about the cost of living, correct? Is the, for trustees, or what is that? Yeah, okay.
yeah, the treasurer's the one Glenn submitted, supervisor, clerk, and the trustees are the 2.1%
Right.
cost of living.
Cost of living, perfect, thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve old and unfinished business items 1, which are the minutes, item 2, which are the new business, which are the checks. Item 7 concerning the holidays. And I do want to just state that the only change to that is that we've always observed Veterans Day, but it's never been in the old it was not in the old resolution on holidays. So that's included. And item 8 item 9 and item 10. If there's any of those I mentioned that someone feels more comfortable voting on separately, fine, but I'll move 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And the only reason I didn't do 11 is because
I haven't.
you haven't given me a name.
That's right.
Call support.
All right. Is there any discussion?
About the agenda items?
About 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, and 10.
So, just some, I guess, some clarifications on the checks, because, this Office 360 that we work with, I was just looking at the bills for basically hanging folders, and it seemed high to me. Do we deal with them for any particular reason, or rather than like a Staples or?
Officers,
I mean, it was like $109 for.
we dealt with them because they used to be local, because it was standard office
Oh.
supply and printing.
Okay.
And Office 360 bought them out, but
So it just maybe something I can,
yeah,
I could throw out there that maybe we wanna
you might
do a
want to.
price check.
Yeah.
Maybe ask Carl to do a price check on
Yeah.
some, because it was just seemed high to me for hanging folders and stuff, but.
Yeah.
The other question I had is, we spent a lot of money on, plowing. I guess it was broken up into Fire Station 2. $2,659 for basically, looks like pretty much January. Pretty much January, a little bit of the end of December and beginning of February. And then Firehouse 1.
I think that would be due for putting it out for quotes again when the next, before the next snow fly, not before the next snow flies, that'll probably be by the end of, that'll be Monday. But for the next snow season, I guess.
Right. No, I totally agree. But it looks like they were combining Station 1 and
Well, Station 1, I separated,
the hall.
yeah, I separated that out.
Okay.
I mean,
Because that entire bill was like $4,500 and 45 for
Well, that's-
$4,545.
this is a check register. It doesn't tell you what accounts they went to.
Right.
When you look at your budget detail for whatever, January or February, that will show how much of that went to the hall
Right.
and how much of it went. But they do identify that on the bill as you see when you sign.
Yeah, no, I wasn't so much, I was thinking about just magnitude. It was blowing my mind that it was costing us, what, $7,000 for a month of snow plowing.
Snow never went away.
So, but so the point would be maybe we take that time, and then, I know we talked about this, we just, however we can do it, if we can find a way to pay the bills so we don't get the late fees.
Yep, I think more use of, where appropriate for electronic fund transfer, we do pay consumers, that way, so that we're not late and don't incur. The more of those are, the better off we would be. That's part of it, because relying anymore on timely mail delivery is out the window, unfortunately.
No, I guess that begs the question, can you get them electronically? Because that's the way I get all mine. But anyways, that was my only other comment. I was just, I think it was like $150 in late fees. So.
The only other, one question I had is, did we, my lack of memory, on number 9, the MTA Principles of Governance, did we sign that last year too, or is?
No.
It's just, is this
No, this
something
is the
new?
first time they've sent one out in a long time. The last time the board received this, and it's still on, is we adopted it back in, I think, 2012.
Okay,
I mean,
wow.
it's still in effect. But
Yeah.
But,
No, I just was curious because
yeah.
I'm like, oh,
They sent this out, so.
it's a nice list, so, okay. I was just wondering.
Okay,
So are we voting on 11? Is this part of this? We're voting on 11 and 12 as well?
No,
no,
No.
we're voting on 1, 2, 7, 8, 9, and 10. And do we have a motion for that, or?
I moved and supported by trustee Woods.
Okay,
So one question on the holidays. So if I was reading it correctly, July 4th, it falls on a Saturday. The holiday becomes Friday.
Right. But since we're not open currently on Fridays.
Right. But if it falls on
doesn't matter.
Sunday, then it's Monday,
Yeah, then
which
it's Monday.
then would.
Yeah.
okay. You ready for roll call?
Yep. Trustee Wright,
Yes.
Supervisor Bossert,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Treasurer Kowalski,
Yes.
trustee Woods,
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, and then we'll go back to number 3. The 26, 27 salary resolution for the township supervisor, and that's attached here. Is there a motion to approve?
I will make a motion to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? None?
Okay, Supervisor Bossert,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Treasurer Kowalski,
Yes.
trustee Woods,
Yes.
trustee Wright,
Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, and we'll go to number 4 is the 2026, 27 salary resolution for township clerk, and that's attached. Is there a motion to approve?
I'll make motion to approve.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Wayne. Is there any discussion? We'll have a roll call vote.
Okay, I'll vote yes. Treasurer Kowalski,
Yes.
trustee Woods,
Yes.
trustee Wright,
Yes.
Supervisor Bossert,
Yes.
5 yes.
All right, we move on to 5. It's the 2026, 27 salary resolution, the township treasurer, and that's attached.
I'll move that.
Now second?
We'll have a roll call.
Treasurer Kowalski,
Yes.
trustee Woods,
Yes.
trustee Wright,
Yes.
Supervisor Bossert,
Yes.
and I'll vote yes, 5 yes.
Okay. And number 6 is the 2026, 27 salary resolution for the trustees, and that's attached.
I'll move that.
I'll support it. Any discussion? We'll have the roll call.
Trustee Woods,
Yes.
trustee Wright,
Yes.
Supervisor Bossert,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Trustee Kowalski, treasurer,
Yes. Yes.
5 yes.
Okay, number 11, I have not found anybody. I'm looking for suggestions for the zoning board of appeals. So we're not gonna have that. And number 12 is any other matters that may be properly brought by a board member before the board.
Could I just comment on the zoning board of appeals?
Yes.
In reviewing the statute, it can be a board member. It does not have to be a board member.
Okay.
It only had, the requirements are that members of the zoning board of appeals must be registered electors of the township. And no more than one can be from the planning commission, and no more than one can be a member from the township board.
And there's a meeting this week, correct?
There's a meeting
Thursday at 4.
Thursday night, or Thursday at 4 PM. And they're both have indicated that they're going to be there.
Okay.
And
Do we need to have 3 there, or is 2 okay?
2 is fine.
As long as you have a
We've
quorum.
What?
As long as you have a quorum.
As long as you have a quorum.
But I'd really like to fill the vacancy and have a,
Full.
well, I mean, an extra one that would go in.
Yeah, because you can have an alternate
Right. Smart.
to the zoning board of appeals as well.
Okay,
One question I had, with the zoning administrator, with negotiating wages, is a clerk needed for that?
So, seems like it's a board decision.
Yeah, it's a board.
The board makes that, okay. I just
Yeah.
didn't know
Yeah, no, the
the
board,
finances and stuff.
the board makes that decision.
Okay. Just making sure.
So are we on 12 now, Dave?
yeah, that's where we've been.
Yeah.
So zoning administrator. So where are we at with the interviewing process? Do we know?
Well, we've interviewed one person so far.
But the committee's not ready to make a proposal or?
Well,
It's what, Dave,
Wait.
Dwayne, and Joanna, right?
We've had one interview and I don't know for sure whether we're gonna interview anymore or not. We gotta go through
So I
that.
think last meeting you said there were 3, so 2 dropped out.
I know one did. Right.
The reason I'm asking is because it wasn't happenstance entirely, but I was curious because I've gone to the Convis meetings and they had a zoning administrator, and I kind of thought he maybe was a direct hire and might want some more hours or something, but I found out he worked for McKenna. What I found out in talking to them, and they actually sent a proposal if we were ever interested, but I think he said he works, I want to say he said he worked one day a week for Convis, a half a day for Penfield, in-house. So he actually comes there and does all the permitting and all that's. I also talked to SCMCCI. Again, these could be interim. I'm just throwing them out there that I was pressing them as to why they couldn't do the same thing, be here, multiple days a week, if they could support it staffing wise. And their response was they could have Shelley here one day a week. And then of course she could still be available as needed as time permits, I guess. And so I didn't know if that'd be of interest, because I think, as I look at this, I think what we're trying to get to is somebody who comes here, goes through all Paul Anderson's stuff, and it starts to get integrated into the township a little closer. At least that's my perception. And so I don't know if that's of interest to planning commission or the board or both. It sounds like they were willing to have her come in one full day if that would help. And plus as needed. I think that's an expectation. I think I got kind of a pushback that, hey, we service, I don't know, 15 or 18 townships or something. And, we can't spend too much time in Marshall. What I will tell you is McKenna definitely could. They're very expensive. They're a good outfit, I'm no doubt, but they're very expensive. So
Sometimes you get what you pay for,
That's
too.
true.
it's true, and I was at the Canvas Township meeting, and they performed, I think well from a zoning administrator standpoint, but that's the only exposure I had. But they do much more than that, right? They do the engineering, they do master plans, I think, they do all kinds of stuff, but they are expensive. They're out of Kalamazoo. And
Do you know what how that would be comparable to a hire? Like, is it like more than
I think
what
it's
we're
like,
hoping for?
if I remember correctly, like their daily for have somebody in one day, it's like $125 an hour.
Oh,
Now, there's no, of course, we don't have a lot of benefits either, but, except for retirement, I guess, for W-2, but yeah, it's not cheap. It's more like Kalamazoo wages and city of Detroit wages and stuff, but.
I think we should wait and see what this committee comes up with, but I think it's good to know that there's some other options too.
Well, do we know, I mean, where is that headed? Is there a next step, or are we
Well, we're
stuck,
probably
or?
we're gonna meet again.
I think the one applicant, that we interviewed, I think it's gonna be a negotiation of whether it goes forward or not. Depending upon hours and salaries.
One thing we discussed is we need somebody to really work through a lot of stuff we have here. That was the committee's discussion, so.
I can just tell you this, that between Joanne and I, we've been doing a lot of zoning administrator duties. The work that, one, we're not required to, and two, we're really not equipped to do. And we're not gonna keep doing it.
Right.
Something's gotta be done. Because we can't go on like this. I mean, when Paul resigned, and I'm just speaking out of turn here, but when Paul resigned, Carl stepped up and said he would do zoning in the interim. And he didn't want to do anymore. So Joanna, with my little bit of help, has been doing the agendas, the packets, been doing all the research for about 14 months now. And we're behind. There's so much work. So that's why we recommend, we put together, we worked on it, put the proposal to the board accepted it. So that's what we're looking from the PC standpoint.
Is the issue that the person doesn't want to work that many hours, or there's an issue of pay, or what is it?
Well, apparently there's an issue of how many hours, well, it's our position, the PC's position, was that we put in the proposal and it was accepted for the hours. Now, the pay is negotiable. That's out of our purview.
Well, I mean,
So I'm still not clear. Are you stuck on the hours portion? If they want to work, they're signing up to
We're
work
not stuck on hours.
4 hours,
No.
4 days a week, or?
No. I think that pretty much work the hours that we have
that was set forward.
that was set forth in the,
Which was 4 days, right?
right.
But they don't want to do that, or?
No, they're willing to do it. We're just, we've interviewed them and and we've talked to them a little bit and that's where we are right now, so.
I think it's gonna take some further negotiation.
Right.
I mean, at the end of the day, we need the person to be competent and good, right? And so we need you guys to feel good about that. And you, I mean, you're doing kind of a lot of that work, so.
Well, and in addition to that, we got 3 members of the zoning, the zoning map review committee.
Yeah.
That's, this is all stuff that has been handed off that should have been done previously. And we're just,
So if this isn't gonna go anywhere, should we entertain getting McKenna in here right now? Get him in 4 days a week, 5 days a week?
It seems like we don't know that
Fill
it
up the
hasn't
whole
ended.
week and get.
No, it hasn't ended.
Discussions are still ongoing.
Yeah, I mean, we've interviewed them. That's all we've done. I don't think there's anything about it's ended and there's no more discussions. I think we were all pretty,
What I'm hearing though is I'm hearing that, and I agree with you, they're doing way more than you should. This has been going on a long time. But then I'm also hearing that we're not moving forward. So I was just offering that, do we need to do something, to break it loose?
I would say that's a board decision.
well, we've got it. I think we should
got a
meet.
qualified candidate.
Right.
Very qualified. We had 2, I'll just put it out there. I read the went through the resumes. We had 20 resumes. 2 of them were qualified. The other 18 in their resumes, the word zoning was never even out here. These people are few and far between.
Right.
Just like Kirk Alpaw's job.
Yeah.
They're scarcer than hen's teeth. When you get a good qualified one, they aren't gonna come cheap, and you better grab one. In my opinion, if you get a qualified one, I think you better.
There was some talk, and this is a while ago, so, that there was some talk of like, is it possible to like get someone that has the right attitude to train them to be able, you know what I'm saying? Like, get them up to snuff, because sometimes it's, like if the pool, if the pond's been fished, and there's no fish in the pond, sometimes you have to put some stock into it in order to mature something that's going to be worthwhile. So the question is that something that's even, like, if this person doesn't work out, or if, is that a consideration? Would it be, I guess, compared to what Glenn's asking, do we get someone else, like get a company that's going to be competent, but they're going to cost us an arm and a leg? Or is another option that we invest in someone that we're like, you're going to get trained, we're going to help pay for your qualifications to get you up to snuff, if we have someone that we think is teachable,
Yes,
I'm just curious, because they're.
My opinion is we'd be worse off than what we are now.
Okay.
Because it's not something that you do in 30 days.
Yeah.
Like I said, we're just not willing to continue going on like we are.
And because of the pool of candidates that are out there, in that scenario, what'll happen is you'll train them.
And then they'll go somewhere else.
And then they'll go somewhere else where they can get $125 an hour.
I mean, the people have like, I mean, I don't know if this is possible in government, but where they can't, like he's like, if we train you, you can't look for something. Yeah.
You can't even, when you put all that money in, and they used to have training programs
Right.
where you would have to pay it back if you didn't stay 3 years.
Yeah.
They can't even do that.
So that's what I was trying to think of.
We can put an NDA in there, right?
So just to clear my mind here a little bit, is what you're saying is that you're gonna have another meeting to discuss,
Yes,
the applicants. So by the next board meeting, we should know what your recommendation is.
yes, we'll have one.
There we go. Well said.
So if it doesn't work out by then perhaps what
We can go
is
with-
suggested by Glenn or others, you'll have that option.
Yeah.
But at least we know that March is kind of going to be a fun meeting.
One of the things I read, way back when, I called the Emmett town, I called around, I called Emmett, I said, you know anybody? You know, that they have a full-time zoning administrator, I think. And she gave me someone's name and it just didn't pan out, but that, that's another way to find people who do know, is they might be working a part-time job somewhere else. They might be working under a zoning administrator, then have, want to move into that full position, but
Yeah.
I guess we'll find out in March.
The one applicant that withdrew because he wasn't interested in being city in-house. He worked for 8 other townships, and he wanted a retainer. And I mean, it's not, what we're looking for is someone in-house.
Yeah. We wanted to do it remote.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, kind of like what Carl does. I don't think they work for us.
Okay,
So just, I think there's an item that we need to act on yet, is that if I recall right, I think Rob Thal notified us late today or later today that, that it wouldn't be, he would suggest that we take action on that JPC recommendation
oh, yeah.
and concur with that SLU.
That's what I was getting ready to head into, but go ahead, Jeff.
Planning guy, you go ahead.
Well, back into the referral
Yeah.
item, there's that January 13th JPC special land use permit action that the PC chair had tried to get in to last month's agenda, but timing couldn't make it. So, and there are a couple of emails that came out today. Well, Jeff just mentioned. Basically what I think the PC chair is looking at is just the board's acknowledgement.
The way she explained it, if the council's gonna vote on it, then the township board should vote on it. And that, even if we don't agree,
Yeah,
we voted on it.
right. Just that we're aware of what's going on and that we have a say.
Right. That we're equal.
Well, I think it said, it had a little bit more to it than that too.
I can read
This
what,
is coming back to, this property comes back to the township. So that was one reasoning of voting on it, that we agree or disagree. There's a drainage, I guess I'll call it a pond or reservoir
Mhm.
that is in Marshall Township that's part of this question mark, because apparently that parking lot floods or something, and
everything goes north.
And there was question marks about what to do with that. Somehow they have to make sure that the drainage is adequate. And they're not making it worse in any way, but they want it under control. And so and it involves this Marshall Township property because that's where it all goes, to the north. So those were, I think, some other reasons why we might want to weigh in on it.
I think a lot of it leads back into, what is the role of the JPC? between the township, on township lands and city lands, you know, what's the agreement? Other than the Master 425, which is an umbrella, but what's the function of the JPC as far as all this is concerned? And, you know, I don't think we're there yet. You guys are working on that. And, you know,
I don't think there's any harm in voting, you know, I mean, as it stands right now, that's not how it's working, but it may be that's where we're trying to get those processes in
Right.
line. So to me, to set the precedent, I think it's not bad to let people know what's happening in our community.
Right.
Because they may not hear it in the city, but they may hear it here from watching our YouTube channel.
Right. Yep.
because there's nowhere in the Master 425 is it set up that the city council and the township board have to vote on these for it to go one way or the other. We're not set up like that.
Right.
Some townships are with their 425 agreements. We are not. You know, our states, if it's on their side, the city gets it. If it's on our side, the township gets it.
Right.
Ordinances.
So the point is, it may not be a binding resolution that we pass or don't pass, but it's maybe moving in the direction that we'd like to see. You know, we'd like to see either an acceptance that the JPC is the final authority, which is what we believe, at least I think we believe as a board, because that's what we put in our brief. They are the sole authority, and it doesn't even go to the city council. But in lieu of that, you know, what's the harm in voting on the resolution, which I personally, I went to at least one of the meetings. It seems like a good use of the parking lot. I think it's well thought out. There were some questions about fire hydrants that I don't know if ever got answered, which I thought was a good, I think Steve Riggs brought it up, right? Because he's like, you don't really want to put hoses across Michigan Avenue if you don't have to.
Steve talks fire and Tim Banfield talks landscaping.
Right.
And very important.
Very important.
On both ends of that.
Yeah, so do we, I mean,
that we can concur in the JPC's approval of the special land use SLU 25001 for 2 drive-throughs at proposed restaurants at 15885 West Michigan Ave.
I'll second it.
Okay, roll call vote.
Trustee Wright,
Yes.
Supervisor Bozzard,
Yes.
I'll vote yes. Treasurer Kowalski.
yes.
Trustee Woods.
Yes.
5
Okay,
yes.
I had one more thing I wanted to at least bring up. I think we touched on this during the budget workshop, that it looked like we were spending more than we were bringing in on permits and applications. And I don't think we made a motion, but I think we were kind of moving towards somehow taking a look at that. Is that something that we think, I mean, I'm thinking to myself, there's permits that come in, there's the money for the permits, 90% goes out the door, there's the time spent on it, and then I think we throw in 25% of Carl's time or something.
I'm trying to, I have not been able to talk to Carl yet, but I want to see if we can get out of, I'm sure we can, out of BSA, of the breakdown between the inspector's fee, I'll call it, and the administrative fee.
Okay.
Because we have to analyze those two things separately. And the other thing we cannot do is any previous year's loss, shall we say, you can't recoup.
Yeah.
So when you say administrative fee, you're talking about Carl, right?
There's No, what I'm
No.
talking about is on every building permit, well, almost every building permit, there's a fee for administrative fee. I think it's, don't hold me, I think it's $75 per permit.
Okay,
That doesn't, the inspectors don't get 90% of that. They don't get
I
any.
don't get any of that, okay.
That comes to township. But any of the documents that we get, the permits and stuff, it doesn't break it down that far. I'm sure you can break it down that far. And I needed to find out, I wanted to find out for the last 3 years, what that breakdown was. Then we can put it, you can test the one against Carl's 25% and the other, their 90%.
Right.
And then you're in a position to be able to make a decision whether the fees in general should be raised or whether just the administrative fee needs to be raised.
Right.
Because the other thing that we've also tried to do in the past is make sure that we're not the highest fees in the countryside and not the lowest.
Yeah.
And we've been, our building inspectors inspect for other areas, and they have just mentioned that we're average. We're not the highest, and we're not by the lowest. So that's where we were on fees, is I was trying to get that together.
Is there a possibility we could do that in March or not?
Yeah, if I can get out of there, and I'll find out from Carl tomorrow.
That's all I had.
Okay, public comments are public left.
We scared them off.
Board member comments? All right, well, I'm gonna do something you're probably not gonna like, but I'm also gonna hand in my resignation. There's just a lot of stuff going on, and I need to be in different places, but I'm willing to work with you as far, but got it as March 31st. I'll hand everybody a letter.
Did not see that one coming,
No, it didn't.
quite yet anyway, so.
It's like,
Well, it's been a lot of family discussion. And, yeah, I mean, it's like we're taken away from, I'm taken away from getting things done, and especially this last year, I was pretty. Things did not go well all year, and I don't know when we'll ever get caught back up to where with the fire. And you can talk about insurance all you want, but
can I ask them just, so how does this work? Logistically, in the sense of like, typically, the supervisor puts someone before the board, but if there's no supervisor, how does that work? Like,
Put somebody before
So,
the
like-
board for like the ZBA?
yeah, ZBA, like all those positions are,
I still have it next month.
okay, like, okay.
Well, I will say this, family first.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Anytime and every time, family first.
100%.
And I know you've had an extremely difficult year. And
Well, everybody has something. I mean, just mine was, you've had a lot of things. I'm not trying to I can see with all the things that are happening in the township that the time requirements for the supervisor are gonna go up, and I just don't think at this point, I'm gonna be able to do that.
Okay.
So, I guess,
Just as a point of discussion,
okay,
would, appointing or finding a deputy, I know you've been broached on that shortly after the last election, but just overall,
right.
would that
It-
assist in any way?
It would assist, I keep trying to think of somebody that would be, and I'd take suggestions for it, so.
Just, just in a general day-to-day
Paul
operations?
Casing was the deputy supervisor for a lot of years.
Yeah.
So, all right, I guess we're adjourned.